kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindho devacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my sincere and love pronouns to the lotus feet of our most worshipful Shri Gurudev, Nitya-lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Maharaj, Shri Bhakti Narayan Goswami Shri Guru Maharaj, to our Guru Varga, and all the Sangho, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas. So, continue our daily reading of Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, nectar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. So, yesterday we tried to review, we tried to remember where we stopped. And you remember? We just started one new section. 2 methods of attaining bhakti. And remember what they are? One is the gradual process. The other one is instantaneous process. Instant. So, for the first one, the gradual process, then Mahaprabhu, he gave Rupa Goswami instructions on the path of gradual development. How? So, you can read in Mandalina chapter 19, verse 144 to 149. This is in Rushiksha. Mahaprabhu saying, Taramadhye Shthavara Jangama Duibhe Jangame Tiryat Jalasthalajar Vibhe Taramadhye Manusya Jati Adiyal Patar Taramadhye Mudhicha Pulinda Bodha Sabha Vedanishta Madhye Ardhika Ved Mukhi Mani Veda Niside Aki Kore Dharma Nahigani. Then Brahmacharya Madhye Bahuta Karmanishta Koti Karmanishta Madhye Eka Jnana Shrishta Koti Jnani Madhye Hoy Eka Jan Mukta Koti Mukta Madhye Durlabha Eka Krishna Bhakta Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ataiva Shanta Mukti Mukti Siddhakani Sampara Asanta. Okay, what is that? It says here that the unlimited living entities can be divided into 2 divisions. Those that can move and those that cannot move. Understand? 2 kinds of living entities. Those that can move and cannot move. Those that cannot move, what are examples? Stone? Like we're talking about living entities. Some are living stones, but generally stones dead. But okay, trees. Those that cannot move, such as trees, are classified as achadita chaitanya. Meaning achadita meaning completely covered consciousness. Among living entities that can move, some move on the land, such as animals, some in the air, such as birds, and some in the water, such as aquatics. They are possessed of Sankuchita Chaitanya. So when you say Sankuchita Chaitanya, when you say Chaitanya, consciousness. No? So the first one is Achadita, meaning covered. You can see that it's almost like there's no consciousness because they cannot move. But there's consciousness there. And when we say living entities that can move, there are the animals, some on air or water or land. They are Although the living entities known as human beings are very few in quantity, that division is still further subdivided, for there are many uncultured human beings who dwell in the forests and woodlands, like the Aborigines or barbarians and so on. Also, there are the materially advanced nations, expert in craftsmanship, science, and civility, but devoid of morality and spiritual wisdom, such as the Bleches. So inside Bleches, literally the meat eaters. So he said there's so many like animals. Compared to humans are not so many. But even with human beings, also so many, you can actually subdivide that, because not all human beings have the same like condition, you know. So one are like a civilized one, like still like the barbarians or aborigines in forests. Then there's in advanced, so-called advanced countries, they have some civility, they have some expertise in craftsmanship, science, and so on. But among them, some have no morality at all even. They have no morality and no spiritual wisdom. And we're referring to actually the majority. They are the Bleches, the meat eaters. Also the Buddhists and others. They do not accept the existence of Supreme Being. So although like Buddhists, for example, it's kind of like considered it's like one religion in itself, but it's atheistic. They don't accept actually the existence of a supreme person. Rather, they're teaching that everything is illusion. So they don't even exist. So I say they do not accept the existence of a supreme being or a controller and are called moral atheists. They don't accept the existence of God. They're atheists, but they have some morality. You know, they teach them how to live a peaceful life, how to be harmonious with the environment, like this. Among human beings, those who simply give lip service to accepting Vedic principles are called speculative moral theists. Generally, some people they have some concept of God which are imaginary. So they follow some principles of Dharma. And so they are called moral theists. But those who actually follow the principles of Dharma are actual moral theists. Now, did you get that? Some, they don't follow exactly what the teachings of the Vedas, you know? They just do by lip service. Some they can teach, but they don't follow the example. But they have actually the conception of God is imaginary. Like what? Like the Mayavadis. So they are called moral theists. But in reality, among those who follow Dharma, saying so those who actually follow principles of Dharma, they are called moral theists. Now, but among those who follow Dharma, some can be said to be pure and learned in the truth. They're the Tattvagyanis. And amongst many Tattvagyanis, there are a few who are actually liberated from material intelligence. Amongst millions of such liberated personalities, there are a rare few who are actually devotees. Of the factual moral theists, those who desire desire to enjoy the result of karma, those who desire to enjoy liberation, which is the fruit of study of Vedanta, and those who desire to enjoy mystic perfections, the fruit of the practice of yoga, they are not actually peaceful. Only the devotees of Krishna are peaceful. So why do you say they are not peaceful? Why do you think? Now this is Mahaprabhu telling actually. Those who follow the principles of Dharma, he said some are very learned and have purity. They are tattva jnanis. And among them, few actually are liberated from material intelligence. Okay. And among those who are liberated from material intelligence, you can say only very few are really devotees. That's how rare devotees are. And so, but here, all these people who are considered moral theists, they believe in conception of God and they have morality. Is that those who desire to enjoy the result of karma, meaning the karmas, and those who desire to enjoy liberation, the result of the jnana, and those who desire mystic perfection, which is the result of practice of yoga. Now, Mahaprabhu said they are not peaceful. Why? Because these goals are not the real thing that can satisfy the jiva. I mean, the person's these are not the real desire of the jiva. What is the real desire of the jiva? Love. You know? Love in relation with Bhagavan. Like this. So unless one experiences that, then they cannot be peaceful. So one can have material sense gratification because they're doing various activities, they're receiving the result of their punya, or they can be liberated, meaning they're so-called free from material influence, or they can even go merge with the Brahmacharya. After even that, still they cannot be peaceful. They can have mystic powers also. They cannot be, but they are not peaceful. Why? Because unless our dharma, our real dharma is attained, what is that? It's praying for Bhagavan, like actual love. This is what we're looking for. Okay. So, therefore, Mahaprabhu said only the devotees of Sri Krishna are peaceful. Why? Because the devotees of Krishna, they are experiencing this love. They have this love. So the essence, so now, why we're mentioning this? Because take note, Mahaprabhu giving instruction to Rupa, the gradual process of attaining bhakti. So from here you can see what are the different levels of consciousness. So he said the essence of the teachings of Srimad Mahaprabhu is that first, those who live in the jungle should become civilized and educated. Okay, so there's uncivilized people. Okay, that's the very first. Actually, the lowest type of consciousness is the ajanta, meaning completely covered. So, then there's the animals, the shrunken. But now, he said, those which, animals and unmoving, actually, unless you're Mahaprabhu, you can liberate them, very, very quickly. But little difficult. They cannot do bhajan. No, he said only in human form you can do bhajan. So what is essence of the teachings of Mahaprabhu? Bhaktivinoda Thakur said first, the first uncivilized human being, first they will have to develop how to the point of civility. They should become civilized and be educated. Then after that, higher than that, when they begin to accept morality. And thereafter, develop faith in God. Because there's moral but they're atheists, right? But they have to go higher to become moral theists. So there's uncivilized, then there's a civilized, there's the moral atheist, then there's the moral theist. Then, when they develop faith in God, then they follow Dharma. Again, as far as like followers of Dharma, those who are followers of Dharma, they should be unattached to the fruits of karma, jnana, and yoga. And what? Should then accept bhakti to Sri Krishna. Okay, so that is the gradation. So they begin, so we say there's the moral atheist, higher than that, the moral theists. Among the moral theists, there will be the karmis, jnanis, yogis. But ultimately, they will have to learn to be detached from the fruits of their activity. Ultimately, only appreciating bhakti the highest. These are the regulative steps for the Vedic process of gradual advancement of human beings. This is the conclusion of all scriptures. Samsara brahmiti kon bhakti hehottare nadira pravahe jena Krishna lavitire. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It says, when the jiva becomes averse to Krishna, he is swept away in the current of birth and death in material existence. He wanders aimlessly throughout the 84 lakh species of life, 8,400,000 species of life, being burnt by the threefold miseries. It is extremely difficult to attain deliverance from this current of samsara. However, just as a piece of wood flowing in the forceful current of a river made by fortune be washed up on the land, similarly a jiva may by extremely good fortune attain the shelter of sadhusanga, gain release from the current of material existence, and again become established in his own constitutional position as the servant of Krishna. Okay, so many things here, and these are something that I think he knows is like common teachings. You know, like from the time we begin Krishna consciousness, these are immediately being taught to us. What is that? That this principle of samsara. Samsara means? Huh? Yes, the cycle of birth and death. So, said here it says that when the jiva becomes averse to Krishna, then what happens? Then he becomes swept in the current of birth and death, samsara, material existence. And so how is that happening? What happens there in that cycle of birth and death? It's not just birth and death in human form. It's actually 8,400,000 species of life. I don't think even the scientists have figured this out, like this number. The Vedas have revealed that.
When it says that when the jiva comes averse to Krishna,
yeah.
But that's just like secondary tenets. We were just put in there. We had no choice. So, isn't it to some degree?
There's choice, but there's chance also. You know, like.
No, but we become rebellious. We never had that. We never see Krishna, did we? So when it says that, they're just saying it like word.
We are, of course, in the case of the jiva, we are marginal energy, no? Yeah. Tatashta. So, as Tatashta, this is the speciality of the Tatashta Shakti. Like the jiva is part of the Tatashta Shakti. And what is the speciality of that? you have access to both worlds.
Okay.
Some Shakti, like those directly Chit Shakti, they're just in Chit Jagat, they have no access to the material world, like this. They don't even know material world exists, like this. And
But when we had these questions with Prabhupada, he said that at the end of the day, you never know choice. You was planned to come into the material world. That's what I'm saying.
this Shakti, of course, Shakti provides the everything for Shaktiman, right?
Yeah.
So it's why we're in part of this Tatashta Shakti. That's just how it is. You know, that one we have no choice. That's by chance. We're part of Tatashta Shakti. Why we're not Chit Shakti? Like we're not like Karunya brother. Why? Because that's just
the plan.
Okay, that's just how it is. We're part of that.
Okay.
Like Shakti manifests in many transformation. So we are just part of that. It so happened we're part of this Tatashta. And so as Tatashta, then we are always faced with this situation that we are in the middle. That means we are actually from Mahavishnu. We're never from Goloka Mandapa. And so when we talk about Mahavishnu, he's the Purusha avatar. He is a special manifestation of Bhagavan for the manifestation of the material world. So although we're very spiritual, we're spiritual by nature, but we are here in the material world. And that is because we're part of the pastime of Mahavishnu. That's our part. We're part of that Shakti to support or assist in pastimes of Mahavishnu. And so like if Mahavishnu or say Bhagavan is a supreme enjoyer, he enjoys different rasas. So he has to how do you call this? Express moods of how do you call this? Nourishing and protecting and having virya, rasa, like this. But sometimes the material world provides that, like this playground. And we should not think like, oh, what kind of God is that? Like, oh, so self-centered and making us suffer for that. Like, no. Although we are part of this Tatashta, it's not that like eternally also, like you're how do you call this? You're bounded. It's like why kids play game, and that is their desire. In the very beginning, their desire. Oh, they want to play. They're asking their father, "Give me this iPad or give me this whatever toy to play." And so then they'll give. Father will give. And so then there he plays, and that's his choice. He playing, and then he dies so many times. Yeah, he died, and he created all this unnecessary anxiety. Oh, but he's enjoying like this. But then, he's suffering. He's dying, or sometimes he's lucky. He wins, something like that. At the end of the day, then when he becomes, when some wisdom comes, or someone make him understand. And really that's what happens when you associate with sadhus. Then he realizes like, wow, I wasted my whole time in this. And he goes back to his father in that. So this kind of like an analogy like that with our situation. Like the choice is ours. The choice is ours. But we are part of that Shakti that has access to the world, this material world and spiritual world. You can actually be in both worlds. And right now we are in both worlds. It's not that like we made a choice in the very beginning, and then some people was like, oh, that's very unfair because we don't know, and we made a bad choice like that. But actually, the choice is going on. The choice is going on. And it's not that you don't know. Who knows? Now you just don't remember. And the reason why you don't remember now is because we actually desire to be away from God. Therefore, Maya has covered us. But who knows from the very beginning that when you came, like you know. Who knows? Like who can tell now because we don't know. Our Guru Vaga is telling that, oh, you just became a person of Krishna, therefore Maya covered you and then you forgot that you are a servant. But it could be that from the very beginning that you, although this is the thing, we cannot understand because we're eternal. And how is it, like what is our very beginning? And let's say just theoretically or just for the sake of discussion. The beginning, the very first time we had a body like this. Who knows, maybe we are part of, like, it's not like immediately you're like in a very degraded life. Like in one discussion of Srila Goswami Maharaj, said the very first time the Jiva come to this world, he is like that of a Lord Brahma. Like this. And so it could be that you're manifested along with some particular avatar, like some together with them, and from there, you just go down, just went down, or you manifest in in this like planets of the sages, like this, which is like completely pure, because we start as pure, like this, and it just goes down because maybe, and that's because then you have the choice. So from the very beginning, the choice is there, and it's not just from that point that was your only choice, and then now you're going down. Every second up to now, the choice is there, and it's not that like we don't know. Now let's say now we know. Like we've been told so many times. Our Guru is telling us, and actually we're seeing now. We're seeing something. We're seeing there's a spiritual world. This is the material world. But many times we just make like the wrong choice. Like just yesterday, Ekadasi. Like Ekadasi. We just hear the class. Oh, Ekadasi is Krishna himself. Special time. And on that day should not be like wasted. And Krishna himself giving all like rules. You may say rules, but this is actually his reminder for us. So it's very auspicious. You can hear that, like, oh, on this day, oh, you chant nicely, you remember more, you also say nicely, like this. And the devotees, they don't want to waste their time, like sleeping or like talking prajalpa or like that, And you can hear that, but then you have the choice. And usually then, like, some can forget. Or even you're reminded, you still made the wrong choice. Like, no, I need to sleep, like this. I want to watch this movie. On Ekadasi, or you play video game, like this. Even you can do other days. Why on Ekadasi? And as devotees, even like we're being discouraged even to do that. We still do. So situation is when the jiva is averse. So like all these activities is a symptom of our adversity. We're not inclined to serve. We're not inclined to to develop or to go towards more the Bhagavan, to go back. Okay. And so then Maya just covers us easily like this. So that's the situation with the jivas. And so now he is in the cycle, the samsara, and it's not just in the human form. So accordingly, how he desires to enjoy this world, then a particular body will have to be given to him, like this. So because this body is actually just a manifestation of your desire. Like why you have an eye, why you have eyes? Because you want to see, you want to enjoy the sight. Why you have a tongue? Because to enjoy taste. It is. Like the senses is just the manifestation. I mean, this gross body is actually just a manifestation of our subtle body. I mean, subtle body meaning all your desires in your mind. Like this. So, according to how you desire or what is your attachment, then a particular gross body is given. So people, let's say, they're so attached to a certain type of food, like meat and whatever, the real mode of ignorance. Then later on, a body fit for that will be given. So then they can become tigers or they can become monkeys. They desire so much like sex enjoyment like this, so then they don't need the human form. Human form is not for that. So they can be given in those lower form of life. Like monkeys, the pigs, and others. So, and they said there's 8,400,000 species of life. So, but he said, what is so what's the situation in samsara? You take birth again and again in different stages of life and suffering from threefold miseries. What are the threefold miseries? Remember them?
Birth, old age, and death.
Adadivic, adiotic, adhyatmic. So when you say adadivic, meaning from the demigods, now we don't see demigods, but we can understand there are some higher beings who are like controlling like the affairs of the universe, and so by them some flood or whatever catastrophe is there, earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and like this. So that's one type of suffering caused by them. Another is caused by other living entities. So if not directly like the same body as you, even little insects, can cause so much problem. Like even a little mosquito can kill you. Like this. You get all this disease and then some even die. And you get sick. Maybe some bacteria, like it's not. And even by your own body also. Your own body making you suffer as well. Like your mind always troubling you, your body becoming sick, this body itself, making you experience pain like this. So this is the situation in the material world. So it is extremely difficult to attain deliverance from the current of samsara. And we can understand that. Very difficult. You can see how in this world everybody is so attached and definitely so difficult to be free. Generally when we talk about someone always like transmigrating, like reincarnating again and again. One is because there's karma, karma. So karma meaning whatever activities you're doing now, you have to experience the fruit, right? You understand that. So you're doing pious activities, you can go to heavenly planets and have higher forms of life like this. But then after that, you have to go down. Or if you're doing, we just discussed this, like very impious, like sinful, and then you go to hellish planets and suffering. And then after that, then again drop to earth. So karma very strong, like it's like a rope binding you like this. So you cannot escape because now every second you're doing some activity, and it's like continuously you're biting yourself, you know. So it's very difficult, but that's not it's not only karma, also your attachment, which is actually a result of your karma as well. Like whatever you're doing, it creates a certain type of attachment. And you can look, unless you're attached to Krishna, definitely you'll be attached to this world. Whether it be like your a material object, maybe just your house, or it can be your family members, your loved ones. It's so difficult to be detached, you know, like everyone. And you can see practically all stories is just all about this attachment. Like stories of people becoming attached like this. There's all the heroes being glorified because showing how much their attachment to how they become victorious, you know, from all the conflicts created by all these attachments. Like that. You know, so but ultimately this tendency to be attached, that's only have to be directed towards Bhagavan and easily cut. No more. Also karma, because you have to do activities. Also if you just redirect that to Bhagavan, then that activity no longer counted as karma. You know. Then aside from karma, aside from attachment, then ultimately your consciousness. Unless your consciousness really is like purely absorbed in Bhagavan, then your consciousness will be like materialistic, only within the material world, and therefore very difficult to be away from this world. And it said, like in Bhagavad Gita, it says, no, whatever you're thinking at the time of death, that you will go. You know, generally that's what's happening to people. At the time of death, who are they thinking? Unless you're devotee, then you can think of Krishna easily. But for the majority of people, all their like maybe their loved ones, they're all there crying and like this. Who can you think about? You're only thinking of them, or you're thinking of your wealth you're gonna leave. And therefore you'll have to come back. You cannot leave. So it's very difficult. It's not just difficult, it's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult to attain deliverance from this current of samsara.
It says that they're extremely.
Yeah, it says that extremely difficult. So, however, just as a piece of wood flowing in the strong current of a river, may by some good fortune be washed to the shore. And sometimes, you know, like that. So by chance, there's a piece of wood floating on a river. And the river, very strong current, very difficult to be away. You're carried by this current. You cannot stay away from this current. But sometimes, by chance, you went slide, going to the side, and then you got stuck on the shore, and you got liberated. You know, like what? You're free from the current. So it's like that. He said, the jiva, by extremely good fortune. He said, it's extremely good fortune. It's not just like, like easily attained fortune. How is that? What is this extreme good fortune? How it can happen? He said, when they get some shelter of sadhusanga, then what happened? They gain release from this current of material existence, and they can again be established in their actual dharma. So that's what Mahaprabhu said. Then ultimately, really, it's really sadhusanga. If not for sadhus in this world, very difficult, extremely difficult for the jivas. So that's why it said also, it's the same group shiksha. Actually, Mahaprabhu is saying, like Brahmanda Brahmiti Kon Bhagavan Ji. the jivas, they're wandering from different Brahmandas. Because there's not only one universe, unlimited universes are there. But the lucky ones, said they get the mercy of Krishna and Guru and Krishna. And by them, they get this Bhakti Lata Beach, the seed of this creeper of devotion. So, let's continue. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, the mercy of Sri Krishna, the mercy of a devotee, and the fruit of previously performed sadhana. When you say sadhana, spiritual practice, no? He said, the mercy of Krishna, the mercy of devotee, and the result of your previous sadhana in the form of the destruction of obstacles are the three causes which assist in the instantaneous process of advancement. Okay, so we're done with the first type. There's two, how do you call it? Two ways of attaining bhakti, no? One is gradual and one is instant. So the gradual one, the gradual process, we already described, right? The gradual is, the jiva, gradually he becomes elevated from uncivilized to civilized to moral, to a moral person, but it can be moral but atheistic. Okay. But higher than that, it is moral but theist. He has some appreciation of existence of God. And ultimately, higher than that, when he begins to follow dharma. And really, when you say moral theist, they're actually following dharma. But among them, also gradations. Karma, jnanis, yogis. And ultimately, the highest when they actually perform life free of selfishness. So, like you say, karmi, jnanis, and yogis, they're selfish still. Meaning they're desiring their activities or their motivation for performing dharma is out of desire for gain, for fruit. So the karmis for sense gratification, for jnanis for liberation, for yogis some mystic perfection, like mystic powers. But bhakti, like really completely free from all this. Only what? Only one-pointed love for Bhagavan. Right? Like this. So that's ultimately that's the highest. Okay, so that's how the gradation, the gradual. But then, with regards to the instantaneous, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he points out three causes. They assist in the instantaneous process of advancement. You may say like, oh, the progress seems very instant, like so quick, like, it doesn't have to undergo like that. And how is that? Because of these three causes. One, mercy of Krishna, mercy of the devotee, and the result of his past lives sadhana. So when you say, what do you mean result of his past sadhana? That comes in the form of already the removal of anarthas. Because he's done some sadhana, then he said already some anarthas are removed. And therefore now, in this particular life, it's like it seems like instantaneous. So the main cause of this immediate development is the independent desire of Sri Krishna, who is the controller of all types of rules and regulations. So ultimately, the Lord said, you have to acknowledge Krishna is the controller of everything. So the main cause of this, if it's like immediate, is because Krishna is independent. And it could be that is the independent desire of Krishna. That is his mercy. So one is unable to reconcile this by mere logic and argument. Okay, he said that by logic and argument, you cannot reconcile this. The logical contradictions between step-by-step rules and costless mercy, which is beyond the reconciliation of the human intellect, can be reconciled within the Lord, who is that principle within whom all opposites or contradictory qualities and functions coexist harmoniously. Okay, you understand that? Is that like all these rules are there? There are all these step-by-step rules. But then, on the other hand, there's costless mercy, which like, it doesn't consider any rules like this. So, who can reconcile that? By our logic or by our judgment, we cannot reconcile. But if you just appreciate, Bhagavan is the controller. Ultimately, all desires, his desires are independent. So, he can reconcile. Why? Because he can do opposite. Bhagavan can do opposite things. So he harmonizes the opposing things by the mercy of the great saint. So that's with Bhagavan. Now then, how about the devotees? So by the mercy of the great saint Sri Narad Rishi, an immoral hunter who had not accepted the principles of morality, embraced the life of devotion. Who is this one? You remember we spoke about one hunter, this Regari. Regari. He went very cruel. Very cruel. He doesn't just kill animals quickly killing them. You have to make them suffer. Make them live
in pain.
Yeah, in pain for some time, like this. But this immoral hunter, he has no principles of morality. What to speak of, concept of God and performing worship of God and doing all this high concept of bhakti. But what happened? By mercy of Narad Muni, that hunter became a devotee. He embraced the life of devotion. Also, by mercy of Lord Brahmacharya, a low-class lady named Sabari also achieved bhav, or a life of devotion. They did not do any sadhana. They did not practice or follow the dharma of the different stages situated between the uncivilized human life and the life of a devotee. They didn't follow all that. The first one is degradation. One is completely uncivilized. But suddenly, immediately, they jumped and became a devotee. So, how is that? That's because of mercy of the devotee, like Narad Muni. So, that they did not practice or follow the dharma of the different stages situated between the uncivilized human life and the life of a devotee. But we can see that after they attain devotion, all the qualities found within a moral and civilized person arose within them as ornaments. Did you understand? Did you get it? He said, they may be uncivilized. Some of them are civilized, like this hunter. But then they became devotee. So they skipped all those stages. But when they attained bhakti, what happened? All these things that the morality and civility, they also got. This process of immediate development is very rare and inconceivable, and one should not solely place his hopes upon attaining it. Instead, it is proper to take shelter of the process of gradual development. But if by good fortune the process of immediate development should present itself, then all the better. Did you get what Bhaktivinoda said? So there is the gradual process. But then there is also the immediate process, which happens only because of mercy of Bhagavan and his devotee. Right? So he said, don't put your hope now that, like no need to do sadhana because I will get the mercy of the devotee or Krishna. You think like that. He said this immediate process, this immediate development, he said is very rare and also inconceivable. So don't place your hopes on this. Instead, now you start now. You follow the gradual process. But while following this gradual process, if by good fortune this immediate development may present itself, then very nice. But don't say, no, I'll wait till the mercy will come and suddenly I'll just become a pure devotee. Like, no, now try. Follow the gradual process. The duty of a living entity engaged in the process of gradual development is that no matter what situation one finds oneself in, one should make a special endeavor to advance from there to a higher position. You understand? That's what I was saying, that now we take shelter of the gradual process. So what is the duty of a person engaged in this process of gradual development? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, no matter what the situation is, it may be difficult or easy or whatever, many obstacles like that, you have to make special endeavor to advance from your position to a much higher position. Like this. And not that, like, oh, I will not do anything, I will wait when mercy will come. Bhagavan is very merciful. Okay, so I will not do anything, I will just wait. No. You have to make special endeavor. Fortunately, it is the natural disposition of all souls to desire to advance themselves when the appropriate time presents itself. Many obstacles to advancement are present in every stage of one's development, and these may prevent one from attaining the desired result. Therefore, those who desire a higher position should always be conscious of these obstacles. Get that? He said, by nature, we want to advance. By nature. Of course, now our concern is material advancement. But it's always there. We want to advance like this. Now you have this, like, let's say, this particular phone, then you want a better phone. Like it's like that. But now when we talk about bhakti, it's the same thing actually. Now you should want to advance more. And really, this is the real advancement. Now, he's saying there will be obstacles. There will be obstacles, but don't get discouraged. Sometimes these obstacles, they will prevent you from attaining the desired result. But he said, those people who are really desirous to a high position, then what they need to do? They will have to be careful. They have to be careful for obstacles. So to progress from one position of life to a more advanced stage, two factors should be considered. Okay. This is very important. We'll listen to this one. We'll end here. Are you ready? So we'll end here. He said, to progress from one position of life, from a lower to higher, more advanced stage, necessary to consider two factors. First, it is necessary to remain resolutely stable in whichever stage of life one is currently in. What does it mean when you say resolutely stable?
Steady.
Yeah, like steady and one-pointed, like this. So that is important. We're talking about two things, two factors for you to advance, to go. So one is your steadiness, being one-pointed and very stable in your stage, in whatever stage. Okay. Then second point is that in order to move to the next step of life, one must then abandon the present condition of life in which one is presently fixed. Understand? So you have to see where's your position. And in that position, you remain fixed and like one-pointed to where you want. But then in order to advance, you have to leave this position now. You have to go to the next one. Like this.
How would you use that if you was a sannyasi? How would you say that if you was a sannyasi? How could you abandon that and go to the I don't understand.
Look, when we're talking about this, we're talking about your advancement to in bhakti. You know, these stages, as in like
Brahmacharya,
these are like external. You know.
Ready to give up your stage where you're at now?
Yeah, like for example, what are the stages of bhakti?
There's Shaga, give them up.
You have to go like higher. Or let's say now you're engaged in type of bhakti which is mixed. You know, it's mixed. So okay, now you're understanding this, then you have to go like intensify more, and to finally give up your present condition.
Fixed.
So yeah, we'll continue this because he's explaining more. He said one should firmly fix one foot on the present step, and then lifting the lower foot, one should place it on the next step. Okay. When the other foot is firmly fixed on the next step, then one can give up the previous step and advance onwards. So it's like walking, like this. When the other foot is firmly fixed on the next step, then one can give up the previous step and advance onwards. Thus, simultaneously, one abandons his present fixed stage of life and moves to the next, more developed stage of life. If one proceeds too quickly, there is the fear of falling. And that is very understandable, no? Very practical. Like also like little children, our kids, you know, they begin walking. So they take one step at a time. But if they go too much, so then they fall down like this. If one proceeds too quickly, there is a fear of falling. But also, if one moves too slowly, you say with advice, don't move so fast. But if also you move too slowly, progress will be delayed. So beginning from the uncivilized stage, one should progressively move forward to the civilized stage, then to the purely moralistic stage, then to the stage of speculative moral theism, meaning that stage of imaginary conception of God, then to the stage of factual moral theism, then to the stage of performing sadhana. Finally, after having followed these steps in the proper sequence according to the process of gradual development, one enters the temple of praying. If one advances upwards too quickly, then one will fall back down due to the presence of obstacles. If one delays advancement by remaining in a particular stage, then laziness will arise and become an obstacle towards development. Thus, understanding that too much haste and too much tardiness are both obstacles, the jiva should accept a level suitable to his qualification and reject the level which is unsuitable. In this way, one should progressively advance. This is the law. Okay, so we'll end here. We'll again repeat this tomorrow and we will continue this. It's a very interesting discussion now because now we're talking about like advancement. And actually, here when we talk of stages, not just in bhakti, but from the stages for the prerequisites to bhakti. Some people, they're not in the stage of bhakti yet even. They're just even in uncivilized stage. You know, so you cannot immediately like teach them also. Others, like too much for them, they can fall. So, okay, gradual. Okay, we'll explain more. Jai Shri Gurudev ki Jai, Shri Vishnu Thakur ki Jai, Chaitanya Shri Krishna ki Jai, Jai Guru Premanande.